Cool. Hi, Carrie. Is it Kari or Carrie? Like a hard
It's Carrie.
Carrie. Okay, good.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, so let's start out by just talking about what sort of fears do people have about public speaking, because that's the topic tonight. You can either write it in the chat or you can just tell me.
Having all eyes on me, like people staring at me.
Yeah. Definitely a top one. Anybody else? No? Is anyone super comfortable with public speaking?
Absolutely.
Nice. What about you, Rebecca? Yeah, that anxiety can just really start bubbling up, can it? And then, like Carrie said, like you just feel all these eyeballs on you, and you just are like, "Ah, stop staring at me." It looks like we have someone else joining. Hi, Asia. Welcome.
Hi.
We were just talking about fears of public speaking. Do you have any big fears when it comes to public speaking?
I just don't like speaking in front of people. I just feel everyone's watching me.
Yeah, that's what Carrie said too. I feel like people are just staring you down. Welcome, Delisha. We're talking about fears with public speaking.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Good. Well, we've all kind of shared what our biggest fear with public speaking is. We've talked about just feeling super anxious and nervous, losing our thoughts, and then just having people stare at us. Do any of those resonate with you?
Yes.
Yeah, you're not alone. So in college, I was a theater major as part of my undergraduate degree. And you would think that someone who does theater is actually really comfortable with public speaking too, but that's not the case, because when you are acting a role, you're actually playing someone else. So mentally, does it feel like people are staring at you? They're staring at the character. And these people who could get up, and act on stage for well over an hour were totally petrified at the idea of public speaking. So we are not alone in feeling just totally frazzled and scared. So that's what I sort of want to talk about tonight, is just give you this crash course in public speaking. And why would I do that in this course? And there are a couple of primary reasons. The first is, as I mentioned in the first live event about the course outlook, when you are taking college courses and you're going after a degree, a comm class is a requirement. And if you don't take interpersonal or like a human communication survey, public speaking is your next bet, especially if you're like a business major. You have to take a communication course. So this is like my one shot to give you a very quick dose of public speaking without you having to take an 8-week course. So that's one reason why. And then another reason why is that we are all like on this trajectory. We're on this road that we're following for education, which is going to lead to goals X, Y, and Z. And so I want to assure you that if you are ever asked to speak publicly, like in front of on a podium with like a stage, which is probably unlikely at this point in your life given where you are, but if you're asked to do that, or say you're invited in to speak to a group of clients or a group of investors or a group of attorneys, or like you're teaching a fitness class, one thing to realize is that because you're on the road that you're on, you have some sort of knowledge that who is ever asking you to speak, they want what you have to share. So you are likely going to be that expert that they need to know from. So the fact of them actually staring at you is far less significant than it is the power from which you'll be speaking, which will be legitimate or expert power. Maybe they just really like you and you're cool and you're fun, or you're serious. I don't know. Name that personality trait from week one's assignment. But they want that. They want to see that. So if ever you're asked to speak in that sort of way, just remember that you're on this path and you have something that your audience wants, and it's not to stare at you for 30 minutes. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And I hope that it's comforting in some way, just to know that this stage of life, you have something and they want it. Thanks, Lamont and Carrie. Okay. Hi, Alicia. I'm glad you're here. I wasn't sure what that one icon was. That's great. Yeah. And so that goes back to the audience not being interested or paying attention. They will be, because you're there for a purpose. So let's talk about warm-ups. The number one thing that people really struggle with is all that emotion and anxiety that bubbles up. And that's actually your body getting moving in a way to try to release hormones and chemicals to tell you that you're okay and that you can settle down. So it's all this energy. And also, if you have energy and nerves, you could also consider it to be a positive thing, because it shows that you actually care about what you're getting ready to do, versus like just be like, whatever, I'm going to go speak. I feel nothing. So I want to give you some ways in this section right here to warm up your body, to help flush out and release that energy or anxiety so that you can calm down. So one way to do that is to get in your leotard and get ready to flash dance like it's 1985. Who's with me? I feel like nobody's with me. Come on, people. You know you want blue eyeshadow and big hair. I'm kidding. Okay, no. Let's talk about, yes, sweet. Lamont says no. You know, Lamont, I probably wouldn't peg you for a leotard and blue eyeshadow, but I'm sure we could find some stunning 1980s bright blue suit or something for you to wear. But in all seriousness, we're going to talk about breathing and the face and the body as a way to warm yourself up. So breathing, you've probably already heard this, that taking slow, intentional breaths helps filter energy and get more oxygen into your body. It can also really settle your mind. So just breathing in and breathing out can be so helpful. What I'd like to encourage you to do when you're practicing your breath is to breathe in for as long as you can, and then breathe out for as long as you can. And then try to steadily increase that so that you're breathing in, you're filling up your diaphragm completely. So we're not talking about chest breathing, we're talking about diaphragm breathing. So your ribs wrap around your diaphragm. And any of my fitness majors, hear me out, holler. So your diaphragm is going to extend all the way with breath, and then you're going to compress it all the way. It's going to contract as you blow that air out. So try to get every little bit of air in and every little bit of air out, and try that like 10 times. Now your face is like one big muscle too. So you can massage your face, you can massage your temples, you can blow air out of your lips and your tongue to help you warm that stuff up so that you don't get tongue-tied or dry mouth. So blowing air, yeah, or your tongue. You can also add sound to that and go from a high range to a low range, or a low range to a high range, to get your vocal cords warmed up so that you can speak to your audience. So don't laugh. It's like, and then you can go back up again. Another thing that I'll tell you is you can chew your ABCs, like A, B, C, D. If anyone has kids, do that with your kids sometimes. They love it. You might be thinking, Kim, where would I do this? Like, I'm not going to stand on the side with an audience looking at me while I'm chewing my ABCs. That's ridiculous. I'm going to look like a fool. And I will tell you that your car and the bathroom are your very best friends for getting prepped to speak to people. So you can go into your bathroom stall, you can close it, you should be alone in there, and you can do these warm-ups. You can also do them in your car, which is a very safe place. Does anybody work at a place where you get to have breaks? Like you get like a lunch break or anything like that? I'm sensing a strong no, but I remember when I worked in in a bank. I was a teller right out of college while I was waiting to move to Arizona, and it was freezing cold in there. And I used to love to go into my car and crank up the heater and just have a minute to myself after dealing with people all day. And so I really found the car to be a great place to decompress. Now, your body, again, we have those nerves, we have a racing heart, and that is really just energy that your body is ramping up because you're getting ready to do something. So with your body, just doing really simple things like rolling your head around. When you are rolling your neck, make sure that you don't like look all the way back to do it because it compresses right here. So just think of looking straight up to the ceiling and taking it around. Shoulder rolls are really good. Just swinging a little bit, doing some leg swings, pretending like you're a rag doll and rolling down, trying to touch your feet and roll back up. All very helpful for warming up the body and shaking it out so that you can feel settled to be able to go to speak to other people. So any questions about that? Like, what do you think about that? You can type it in the chat too. What one thing stood out to you most? Would you rather work on breathing, like just breathe, the face, or the body? What resonated with you most? Right? We don't think about doing that as actually warming ourselves up to speak. Thanks, Carrie. Anybody else have anything? Yeah, breathing, I agree. Breathe, like we can also feel uncomfortable just doing those things by ourselves. So breathing is a great place to start. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Okay, now I want to give you a verbal tool to help you. It's called a tell them adage. And the idea is that you tell your audience what you're going to tell them, then you tell them, and then you tell them again in your summary. This is great because it helps your audience track with you because they're going to hear what you're going to say 3 times. If you get into more professional realms of public speaking, they might say that this is kind of outdated, but for the average lay person, it is helpful for you to organize your thoughts and for you to tell your audience what, to help them track with you and help you signpost. This is the reason why you go see speakers and they say first, second, third. It helps you remember what you're going to say. Okay, so let me show you what that looks like. So I have this awesome emoji pillow. Yes, it is one of 3 that has survived my sweet puppy Ginger. And today I'd like to tell you why I love this emoji, why Ginger, my puppy, loves this emoji, and why I have saved this one for my very own. So then I would go on and I would explain that. So let me tell you why I love this emoji pillow. It's super soft. It's one of my favorite ones, my favorite smirk to give. And I would tell you why Ginger loves it. It has a lot of stuffing in it, and she just likes to stick her nose in there and pull all that stuffing out. And I am picking it up for probably the next 48 hours. But it also keeps her busy. So, you know, like, it's not bothering me. She's destroying something. So it's a win-win. And then I saved it for my very own because it was actually given to me by my grandma who lives really far away. So it's a great opportunity for me just to hug her in the absence of hugging her. And then I would repeat that. I'd say, so, you know, I've talked about why I love this pillow, why Ginger loves this pillow, and how important it is to me because my grandma gave it to me and we don't live close to each other anymore. So I really encourage you to go out and buy your own emoji pillow. So hopefully you can see in that very short amount of time, that was all off the cuff. This literally was just sitting in front of my computer because I don't want Ginger to eat it and destroy it. It wasn't given to me by my grandma, and I don't love it. But I was able to very quickly come up with something to say, here's what I'm going to tell you. And because I was repeating it, I was remembering where I was in my place as well. So again, it's 3 tell thems. You tell your audience what you're going to tell them, you tell them and elaborate on it, and then you remind them what you told them so that they can leave from you and they can go repeat it all over again. And we start building those layers of repetition so people remember the information that you have to share. So that's a verbal tool that you can use that is used widely in public speaking. Do you have any questions about that before I start talking about nonverbals? No, yes, a very strong no. Thank you, Delisha. Now, am I saying your name correctly?
Yeah, it's Delisha, but some people
Delisha.
say
Oh,
Delisha.
well, I was wondering about that, so I really appreciate the correction.
Sorry.
I will say it correctly.
It's okay.
No problem. Okay, cool. So now let's move over to gestures. Okay. So, so when I am looking at my screen, I see all your faces at the top. Is that what you're seeing too? What I'm doing with our faces?
Yes, I see yours all of everybody's at the top.
Okay, let me try to move it. Now, do you see it like in a little square? Do you see it moving?
No, it's not moving.
Okay, so I moved your faces. So if you need to move your own faces on your own screen, you can do that by clicking like on the different grids and move it. So I wasn't sure if how it was recording was the same as what I was doing on my screen for your viewing. So let's take a look at these people, and we learned a lot about nonverbal communication. What sort of things could we take away from what is being said just by their body language?
She's being hostile. She's
She looks-
aggressive.
what makes you say that?
Just the way her face looks and that she's pointing.
Yeah, that pointing finger could be a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
Okay, and what do we think of the man?
He probably didn't do the dishes.
Oh, I just
He
love
looks
a
like
man
what?
with dishpan hands. Come on.
He's like, what? Calm down. And she's just yelling.
Yeah. Any other ideas about what's happening here?
It looks like the guy is trying to maybe get an understanding or just try to get himself out of, I don't know, trouble or whatever.
Uh-huh. His posture seems more open to me than hers does.
Right, it does.
Yeah. Any other ideas? Okay, so let's talk about what this means for us as public speakers. So let's say that you are going to speak in front of a couple of clients and you're freaking out because a lot rides on this. The number one thing that you need to do is open up your posture. So if you come into a room and say you get to sit and talk and you sit like this, or you have you're talking and you have your hand over your mouth, they can't hear you, first of all. And it portrays that you might not care, or you don't really know what you're talking about. So if you get to sit down, make sure that you want to be relaxed so you don't make people feel afraid or intimidated, but try to have an open posture, open gestures, so that you're starting to build a supportive climate with your body. The same thing is true if you have to stand. So let's say you have to stand up and you're talking to people. If I am standing like this and I'm more closed in, or my postures are like this, I am showing weakness and I'm showing that I'm closed off. Whereas if I am able to open my stance a little bit and I'm able to use more gestures that are open and out there and like talk to people, then I'm building a more supportive climate and I'm helping people to feel more comfortable with me. You may have heard it said years ago that we don't want to put our hands in our pockets. Putting both hands in your pockets is probably a little too casual unless you're talking with more like clients who you've already established a rapport with. But otherwise, you could put one hand in your pocket and still feel comfort that way, but also be more casual and open, as long as you are projecting openness. So it's sort of like fake it till you make it, baby. Open your posture up so that you can welcome your audience in. I know it's hard and it feels really awkward if you're not used to it, but even in your conversations with the people around the dinner table or your friends, try experimenting a little bit with having a more open posture and just see what it does for your confidence level and for the way that people perceive you. So, anyone have any questions about gestures at all? No? Okay, so let's just do a review of what this class was about tonight. This was a crash course in public speaking, trying to give you these very basic nuts and bolts so that if you ever have to speak in public, you can maybe do that and feel a little bit more comfort with it. We've talked about how to warm up when you feel energy. Hopefully you realize that feeling anxious is not necessarily a bad thing. Being nervous and having the jitters probably just means you care and that you want to do a good job. So rest in that and know that you have something. If you take nothing else away from this, know that you have something that your audience wants and they want it from you. So they're not just staring at you, but there's something in your head, some experience you've had that's going to be beneficial to them. We've talked about how to organize your speech. We're going to tell them what we're going to tell them, we're going to tell them, and then we're going to remind them what we told them. And then we're going to focus on really keeping an open posture. So how are we going to apply this in this class? You get to in the very last assignment. So the very last assignment is a reflection assignment. It's not public speaking, but it is an opportunity for you to practice these skills, and I'm the only one who's going to see it. So for assignment 6, it's a reflection assignment. It's like a video diary. There's 3 questions for you to answer, and you're just going to answer them to me. Ideally, it should not be any longer than 5 minutes long. So try to be mindful of the content you choose to share. Some prep or some practice might be involved, but you can practice all of these things, especially the tell them thing, saying, today I want to talk to you about these 3 questions that my instructor asked of me, that you asked of me, then you tell me about it, and then you just remind me what you told me, and then move on from there. Again, this assignment is not at all any way for me to judge you on your public speaking talent or your ability to apply any of these concepts. It's really just for your benefit, for you to practice and just sort of start at the beginning and remember what you've accomplished in this class and to congratulate yourself, and then do a projection looking forward. And you'll see what I mean when you read those questions. All right, what time is it? It is 5:23. Yes, so much knowledge in 23 minutes. And we even had some conversation. So that wraps it up. Do any of you have any questions that you'd like me to answer about the course or public speaking before I let you go?
Can we have sort of a quick recap?
Of what?
Honestly, just overall, because I have been trying like crazy to hear you the whole time, and everybody around me wants to make it hell and not let me be in class.
Okay, yeah, sure, no problem. I'll hang out for a few minutes with you so that we can just talk. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, very
No.
good. Well, I'll go ahead and stop the recording and you can hang out for as long as you want to.